Okay, Devs, we need an adult.
Why?
I was on the zip line, and when I slid to jump off, I hit the railing, and my face stuck to it like Velcro. That's why I'm saying, Devs, we need an adult. So here we are yet again with another edition of Warframe God Builds. This time, we're going to be checking out a Warframe that dominated the poll against Nyx. And that's Nekros. What a crowd favorite he is. In fact, there's a little bit of trivia that goes into Nekros. Way back before Update 9, there was a friend of a friend who thought that Warframe would be perfect if only they had a Necromancer. So I got to work with Macromedia 8 Flash Professional, and I started doing a design for a Necromancer. Once I drew it up, it wasn't that great of a concept, but the powers that I sent into D.E. James were mirror to what we have today in Warframe. Now I'm not exactly sure if what I sent in attributed to Nekros being in the game, but I mean just the simple idea of a Necromancer in general is enough to merit me a little bit of credit. So here we go, let's get into this. First thing I gotta say is Naramon Lens. While lenses haven't been important in God builds before, this one is essential because with Naramon you're going to use the Shadow Step passive and you're going to try to remain invisible. And this is going to keep you in the game just as much as a Shadows of the Dead, Shielded Shadows, Augmented Necros would be. A lot of Necroses tend to play that way. They try to use the Shielded Shadows and, you know, just beef themselves up, give themselves a little bit of defensive strategy. But that sacrifices what he's great at doing, which is treasure hunting. So why would you ever sacrifice the one thing you're bringing him into the game to do? With this build, you don't have to do that. You don't have to sacrifice anything. You're just going to take the stealth approach, which will void you having to be defensive. Because if you're not seen, you're not getting attacked, and you can keep doing your treasure hunting thing. We're going to run with Energy Siphon, and we're also going to run with Coaction Drift to improve the Energy Siphon. Now, this is one of those builds where your energy is going to just jump up and down, up and down. It's going to be all over the place. Whenever it's 0, don't worry. You know, there's many times that I can run a mission, even in a sortie, and get to 0 energy and still not have anything to worry about because I know that I'm going to get it all back really quickly. Overextended and stretch are going to help you be a long-range Necros, which is highly important to this, especially if you lose your shade and you're waiting for the cooldown from your lens. Despoil is going to make it so it drains from your health instead of your energy, meaning that if you have as little as 1 energy left, you can still desecrate, and you can keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. You must absolutely use Fleeting Expertise with Despoil because Despoil is going to take away 50 of your health, and Fleeting Expertise is going to drop it down to only 10 of your health that gets taken away. Soul Survivor is really just to help out the team. You really don't want to get in stressful situations, and I can't stress that out enough. I mean, if you see a Valkyr that's in a toxic mosh pit, or whatever frame happens to stumble upon that unholy alliance of souls, you can use your soul punch to hit your teammate and revive him instantly. You're going to need to do Despoil with Desecrate immediately afterwards because this is only going to revive them with a portion of their health. Vitality is going to be for obvious reasons, and then Equilibrium is going to provide an interesting dynamic for this build. Anytime you pick up energy orbs, they attribute to health. Anytime you pick up health orbs, they attribute to energy. Rage is just going to make sure that you can get a little bit of energy off of taking damage. if for whatever the reason we do take damage, which we're going to try to avoid. You might as well give this Necros the hashtag of Stealth Pros, because we're going to rock a Snipetron Vandal. That's right, I'm going to be an asshole and I'm going to use a weapon that you can't get anymore because it dropped off an event. I'm just kidding, guys. I'm alternatively going to feature a build for Rupiko, since it's pretty much going to do the same thing Snipetron Vandal is. Just giving you a second to look over these builds, and then I'll move on. For secondaries, you want to absolutely rock a Furis. And the reason for that being is because of this little mod right here, Winds of Purity. Nekros is a squish house. He is going to go down, and he's going to go down really hard in those situations, especially if you take it into in-game level content. So, if on the rare occasion that an Arson Eximus, hits you with a Fire Blast, it's going to be really painful, and it's going to drop you really low, and you're going to need to get your health back as soon as possible. So you're going to run with Winds of Purity, just so you can instantly get your health back from shooting enemies. For melee, it really doesn't matter what you're using, but for personal preferences, I'm going to use Deseztra just because we thought about featuring it in the Excalibur build, and Broken War beat it. This time around, I know for a fact that Deseztra is second best, if not one of the best melee weapons to use. Its speed alone is what is going to be the decisive factor in bringing it into battle with Necros. Just being able to kill something and get it out of the way, get clear of enemies, and move on to the next objective. Keep up with your teammates and keep desecrating. That's really all that matters, is that you just get something out of your way as fast as possible and get to supporting your teammates. Prisma Shade is probably one of the most important assets to this build, just because in those instances where you're waiting for the cooldown from Narumon Lens, you can rely on the Ghost mod with Prisma Shade. As long as you're near enemies but you're not attacking, it'll cloak you. And if I'm stationary and desecrating, this works like a charm. I can sit right in the heat of battle and not have to worry about anything. As so long as enemies aren't doing AoE attacks, because if you happen to toss up with Fore, his Teslas are going to attack your Sentinel and you regardless. So this is why we're going to use a range Necros, and we're going to try to stay away from the heat of battle as much as possible. Now to close out this video, I've got to give out a personal message to DE. I would have chose to run with a Kubro that makes me invisible, other than the fact that none of the Link mods are going to help him with Necros. If you use Link Shields, Link Armor, Link Health, none of that's really going to matter because Necros is going to go down really quickly, meaning your dog is going to go down too, and that's going to be a liability. Everybody's going to be worrying about reviving it. So Prisma Shade is a little bit better in this situation, but Sentinels have a tendency to just die and then not come back until you revive. So to balance this out, my personal recommendation would be to include some type of buildable gear that you can put in your inventory. That way if your Sentinel goes down, you can have something like a Sentinel repair kit. And you can craft it and put it in your gear, and it's reusable. You can just keep using it and over and over and over again. So it's just pointless that you keep a Sentinel dead, especially with a build that's as crucial as this one is, where you really depend upon your Sentinel to keep you cloaked. You can really rely on helping teammates from a distance with this build. It's always recommended to use max range with the Necros regardless of what type of build you're rocking. And it just helps that whenever you do long range that you do a lot of damage with it. So run with Rupiko or Snipetron Vandal if you got it. Keep your Furis on hand in case you have to put your health back. And then just keep desecrating on top of being cloaked. And you will be a worshipped Necros amongst your peers. Everyone will just absolutely worship the ground you stand upon for being able to revive people from a distance without getting hurt, and it's instantaneous. You'll be worshipped for the amount of health and energy orbs that will be popping up absolutely everywhere. The only thing that this build really lacks is the fact that the Sentinel will go down eventually, and there's no way to get back up unless you are to die yourself. So, here's to hoping we can get this message spread far and wide, and let DE know that there definitely should be a gear in the game called a Sentinel Repair Kit that lets us revive our Sentinels. So if you like this video, as always, comment, subscribe, share to all your friends, get on our Facebook and participate in what we've got going on there, because you definitely will see exclusives on that page that you're not going to get here. But until next time,
alright, so I'm going to throw my vortex down. Look, he's unaffected.
Yeah, both of them are.
There's two of them?
Yes.
This is so dumb.
There's the one that's shooting at you, and then there's this fucking Corpus power carrier who is just invincible.
This dude getting shot point blank with Vapor Marijuana. Not taking any damage, doing plenty of damage to me.
I just capped both of them.
We need an adult.
Okay, I need this.